So let's start out with give Carole Lutness a big hand. She's going to tell us about the Disclose Act, number 1648. Carole, come on down.
Okay, and with joining me are two of the founding members of our organization, SCV Fair Elections. We were founded in December of 2005. Bipartisan. We have Republicans, Democrats, and independent voters who were formed because of what we saw as the terribly corrupting influence of big money, whether it's George Soros or the Koch brothers, whether it is Chevron Oil or SEIU. Money has corrupted politics. And so we've been working on various what we call good government, transparency kinds of information for the public and working on bills. We have a really important bill. We are affiliated with the California Clean Money campaign. And right now, the bill that we are hoping to get your support from and hoping to get your help to get passed is called the Disclose Act. We call it the Truth in Advertising, because I'm sure how many people have gotten mailers that say, paid for by citizens who love the American flag, or paid for by Citizens for Integrity in Government, or, you know, that type of thing. Big money has hidden behind these labels, and the voter does not have any idea what's really going on and who's really behind it and who stands to profit. So AB 1684 is hopefully our answer. It's a bipartisan bill, and we want to go to page 3. Page 3. Go next. And here's what Schwarzenegger said when he was running in the recall election. Special interests have a stranglehold in Sacramento. Here's how it works. Money comes in, favors go out. The people lose. Next. This is what Justin Anton Scalia said. Requiring people to stand up in public for their political acts fosters civic courage, without which democracy is doomed. So it's a bipartisan bill that will fight back against unlimited hidden spending on campaigns by letting the voters really know who is paying for political ads. It is sponsored by the California Clean Money campaign, and it can be passed in a few weeks if we have 2/3. If we don't have a 2/3 vote, then it will be put on the ballot in November. We're hoping to avoid that because that will allow the big money to come after it with a vengeance, because they like hiding behind citizens who love the American flag kinds of things. So we're hoping we need one more Republican to join us. And we're hoping that Cameron Smythe will be the person. And I'm going to tell you about the bill, and hopefully if you feel so inclined, then you will call Cameron's office and tell him that you support it. Next. All right, this is actually an ad on Yes on 26. If you remember, 26 was that the Mercury? I can't remember what that one was, but it says Yes on 26. Voter approval for higher taxes, paid for by Stop Hidden Taxes, No on 25, Yes on 26, a coalition of taxpayers and employers with major funding from California Business PAC, sponsored by the California Chamber of Commerce and Small Business Action Committees. Well, you know the Chamber is, but you don't know who else is behind it. Well, next. This is how it would look, the same PAC. It would say, disclosure, top funders for this ad for Yes on 26, Chevron, American Beverage Association, and Philip Morris. And then it will give you a website to be able to find the full disclosure, exactly who has put money into this. So that's essentially it. Next one. This was the ad for Yes on 25, paid for by Citizens for an On-Time Budget, sponsored by teachers, nurses, firefighters, and other public employee groups, California Federation of Teachers, and etc. Next, show the next. This is what it would look like under the Disclose Act. Top funders for this ad for Yes on 25, California Federation of Teachers, California Teachers Association, and AFSCME. We think this adds a real transparency. You're going to know and you're going to have feelings about these organizations, pro or con, and it's going to give you much more of a choice about whether to support that prop or that candidate. So what I wanted to do is turn this over to my dear friends Cam Noltemeyer and Joan Dunn, because they can tell you very briefly about what the impact of this hidden PAC money has been on local elections. Go ahead, Cam.
Sometimes it helps if we can just bring it back into your own backyard. And that's what I'm trying to do, because you're going to recognize names here, city council members, and the people that put them there. And this goes back to 2006. That's when PAC money, Political Action Committee money, came into our local city council elections. Citizens for Integrity in Government. I have all kinds of brochures that came out in the prior 3 elections that said nothing more than that they were paid for by Citizens for Integrity in Government. And I'm going to read who they were from and how it was handled, and let you decide how much integrity in government was present. First of all, it was started by somebody you may recognize. The treasurer was Ed Colley from Canyon Country. This was started in March of '06, General Purpose Committee as a county, not a city, but a county committee. In that election, it was for support and oppose candidates for local office in Santa Clarita Valley. He collected $25,800. The BIA of Southern California, Building Industry, $15,000. Plum Canyon LLC, $10,000. Then there was Flow Line Concrete Company, $500. Sierra Cascade Construction, $300. And their candidates that they supported were Frank Ferry, Lorene West, and Marcia McLean. They also had on there that they opposed Henry Schultz, Lynn Plambeck. They hired Jonathan Kraut, Net Check Investigation, to investigate Henry Schultz and Lynn Plambeck. Limit for you as an individual was a little over $200 at that time, $200. This one political action committee formed by Ed Colley came into that election with almost $30,000. Now let's jump over to the next election. All of this, by the way, I have documented, and I also have the flyers, etc. All of it's public information. Nothing new here, except it probably didn't get out to the community. Then we had the next election, which was 2008. All of a sudden, we saw Citizens for Integrity in Government again. Same ID number. Treasurer has changed. Now it's Armando Azzalozzi down in LA, Melrose Avenue. All of this, if you're really interested, is public record. They filed what is called a supplemental independent expenditure report. I know that gets complex, but that's what they did. No ID number showed up on there. All they put on there that they were supporting Laurie Ender, and they paid $29,500 in direct mail. Everything that went out had Citizens for Integrity in Government, but you had no way of knowing where the money came from. No filings anywhere. Then they finally had to file this recipient committee campaign statement. Again, the treasurer, Armando Alzalozzi, same address, same ID number, by the way, as Ed Colley's when he started it. That means it was the same political action committee. Am I too long? Very quickly. So when that showed up, all of a sudden, you got to see who paid the $30,000. Actually, it came out, it was $30,000, and it was from G&L Realty. And that was the big contractor for trying to get the development agreement on the expansion of his medical buildings on the hospital complex. So he put $30,000 in there. He didn't file where you could see where that $30,000 came from till July 11th of 2008, far after the election. We're not done yet. In 2010, I'm going to speed this up. So it's the same committee, Citizens for Integrity, same ID number, same treasurer. This time, we come up with a total of $40,550. That's what they collected. G&L Realty total was $31,500. The building industry, $5,000. Santa Clarita Valley Auto Dealership, $3,000, and a couple of small ones. Now, at that time, I believe you were entitled to like $360 individually. They supported Frank Ferry, Lorene West, and Marcia McLean. That was the time when Frank Ferry almost lost to David Ghani. So that is kind of the history of what went on, and I've been tracking them for quite some time. Did track them down in the county, and the county did fine them $100 for filing late. The city has never filed anything for them being late, nothing at all. When they got fined there, they quickly changed that political action committee to the city of Santa Clarita. So again, going down and demanding to see what they were doing, they finally did terminate that committee. They terminated it September 8th of 2011. And since then, Armando Alzalozzi is listed on the 210 lobbyist report for waste management. Now, on all of these elections, you had no way of knowing where that money was coming from, who was really buying them into the office. So you make up your mind. If it had shown up, would it made a difference? Possibly. This last election, I just went down to City Hall just before coming down here, and I checked, were any political action committees, did they file? Did we see anybody active in this last election? The reply was no. We did not have them present in this last election. So that's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see when the final campaign filings are in, whether anything shows up, because at the very last there was a flurry of very expensive political mailers going out. But right now it looks like we had finally an election that wasn't controlled by a political action committee. just in the city of Santa Clarita. So you can imagine what is happening when you go out there and start going up the ladder, when you can't see who's paying for it. It should make a difference. I always flip it over and see who's paying for this. This would really tell me. Right now, it doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you know, Cam is one of our wonderful watchdogs in this community. She is a Republican, as is Joan Dunn, who was on the Newhall Water Board, and her husband, Ed, was on Castaic Lake Water. And we have to rush this along, but Joan was a victim of this attack ads that happened.
Good evening. First of all, she's right. My husband was also on the Newhall County Water District before I was. The byword transparency is mentioned often these days. Here is a chance to provide more transparency with this bill. Now, the bill's modification would mandate disclosure of the top campaign contributors on any advertisement in mailings, radio, and TV ads, and on the internet. The main thing that I wanted to get across with this is that what I got in the mail, and I thought this was very, well, let me have the rest of that. Just take the top. It went to my neighbors. This is when they are trying to ruin your reputation. And I think that a lot of my neighbors knew it was untrue, but here they even had audacity to send it to us. Anyway, this came in the mail. This is a few years ago. Anyway, the modification, this bill is already, I think it was 1974 that it was passed. So they want to modify it, and it does say in the bill that thank you. They can modify to enhance this bill, and so this is what they're trying to do in the legislature. Anyway, a link to the internet website maintained by the Secretary of State, Deborah Bowen, that contains financial disclosures shall be identified on the committee internet website homepage. Now, that is a new one, and I think that'll be wonderful because people that are on the internet can look that up and see who is paying. In 2000, I wrote to the then Secretary of State, Bill Jones, about some of the problems that I saw concerning the voting process. One suggestion that I made was about ballot arguments. I said that these arguments should be sworn to and be truthful before they were presented to the voters. Most of my concerns were answered by him, but no comment on the swearing to tell the truth was addressed. Someday we will see a statement at the bottom of all published political campaign information that the information is true and correct under penalty of perjury. And I know that those ballot statements on these different propositions are very confusing. You have the rebuttal against and so forth, and so it's very confusing. And the Secretary of State tries to put out a general comment on what this really means, so that is good for us. I would also like this in not the homepage, but the contribution. I'm sorry, I got confused here. I would also like to see that the ballot arguments have at the bottom of the page or at the bottom of the item that these are true statements as best that they could do. But this here, when this sort of thing comes out, it's usually the last minute, so we can't even fight it. We can't get enough money to get the mailing out in time, and a lot of the people have already voted absentee. So this, we're hoping that with the new changes on this particular bill, that they will be able to we will be able to see who is spending the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's really sad in this locality that our neighbors who step up to do political service should be maligned in that way and then done it in secrecy. Who's for this bill? 84% of the total voters, which includes 86 Dems, 78% Republicans, 88% Independents, Tea Party members, 83%. This has huge support by the public. The public sees that the corruption of money has really threatened our democracy. So in closing, what I want to say is, if you support us, will you please call Cameron's office tomorrow, if I can find the number for you. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Cameron's office, if you have a paper, you can just look it up, but it's 286-1565. You want transparency, you want openness, you want to be able to really find out who is behind these TV ads, the printed material, truth in political advertising, the Disclose Act 1648. If you have any questions, see me afterwards. Thank you very much, and thank you, Al, and the board.